A few months ago, back in February, the Pittsburgh Steelers anointed coach Mike McCarthy to be their next head football coach. This move was controversial at the time, seeing that he just got fired from Dallas just a year earlier. And there were other guys like Chris Shula, Brian Flores, who fans seemed to like more because that followed the traditional Steeler way. However, the Steelers chose to go with Mike McCarthy as their head coach. Now to unravel his journey to this point and what the future holds for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike McCarthy was born on Greenwood Avenue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Throughout his whole life, he was never a star athlete, never a mastermind coach, but he just kept working. Following college, he worked as a graduate assistant at Pitt, and he continually just went over the ranks year by year by year when he finally became an offensive coordinator for both the New Orleans Saints and the San Francisco 49ers. Especially with the 49ers and his time working under Bill Walsh, I believe it was. He really got a lot of experience there, and that really propelled him to gain all that West Coast system knowledge, which he now implements in his everyday offense everywhere he goes. So following San Francisco, he got a job as the Green Bay Packers head coach, and getting that job was just the break he needed. Things started out slow. In 2006, the Green Bay Packers went 8-8, and they missed the playoffs. But then right in 2007, they got right to that elite level that they were back in the Vince Lombardi days. They made it all the way to the NFC Championship, where they eventually did lose, but it still showed as a testament to their resilience and just overall unison as a football team. Then the following year, in 2008, they did only go 6-10, and obviously they did miss the playoffs. However, that was just a kind of rebuilding year in a sense, because that is when Mr. Aaron Rodgers finally got the helm. And the following year, Aaron Rodgers proved who he was. He went 11-5 that season, and he made the playoffs, but they did unfortunately lose in the wild card. But then 2010, all you Steelers fans know all too well. And now I was just a little baby boy back in 2010, so I don't remember this all too vividly. But the Pittsburgh Steelers lost to the Green Bay Packers in Super Bowl. What is that? 45, I believe it is. XOV. Correct me if I'm mistaken there. But, yes, that really gave the Green Packers and Mike McCarthy national recognition as legit, an organization. Not even an organization, but just legit football minds. Showed Mike McCarthy was an offensive mastermind, and he really just continued that elite success throughout the remainder of his tenure in Green Bay. The following years, they lost divisional round, lost wild card, lost NFC Championship, lost divisional round, then lost NFC Championship. I know they keep on losing, but they won a playoff game at least in, 5 out of those 6 years? And that's very hard to do. The Pittsburgh Steelers haven't won a playoff game in, 10 years? And then Mike McCarthy won it in 5 out of 6 years, and now people are acting like it's the end of the world that he's coming here in Pittsburgh. It's ridiculous to me. And in 2017, they did go 7-9, did miss the playoffs. And then 2018, he didn't even finish the season. He went 4-7-1, and he got fired mid-season. So that was his Green Bay Packers tenure. And then, he took a year off, kind of just thinking of what to do next when he got a call. That call was from Mr. Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. It was in 2020 he got the call. In his first year in Dallas, he went immediately 6-10. But there's a reason for that. Dak Prescott, their starting quarterback, except for the season-ending ankle injury, and the team struggled as a result of that. The next year, in 2021, the Dallas Cowboys and Big Mike McCarthy won the NFC East. However, they did quickly lose a wild card game that same year. But then next year, in 2022, again, they won 12-5, and they beat Tom Brady, the GOAT. They beat him in the wild card. Team just coming out of the Super Bowl. However, they did then lose to the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round, which Zeke Elliott did some stuff. But that flash had a chance of working. Dak Prescott just didn't throw it to the right guy. I'm not even lying when I say that. It really had a chance, if you know what I'm talking about here. But in 2023, once again, they won 12-5. But people say he did terrible. 3 straight 12-5 seasons in which they were top 5 offense. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely ridiculous. They even won the NFC East that year. It's just blasphemy to me. And then 2024, they did go 7-10, but again, they had injuries, including one to their starting quarterback, Dak Prescott. It's not his fault. They're going 7-10 with their starting quarterback here. That's pretty damn impressive if you ask me. But then he got fired that same year. And this past year, he took a year off just to get his mind right. He went on the Pat McAfee show a couple times. but it's really on this Dallas Cowboys tenure. It's not like he had a Jerry Rice or catching the ball. He had CeeDee Lamb for a good bit. Yeah, sure. But then, it was CeeDee Lamb and what? Jalen Tolbert. Gee, come on. Michael Gallup, maybe. Amari Cooper was good some years, but then he was only there a handful. Overall, I just feel like he gets way too much hate. Like, when you compare a guy like John Harbaugh, you'll be like, oh, John Harbaugh, great hire for the Giants. But then you'll be like, Mike McCarthy, yeah. And I think that's something to do with his weight. Big Mike, he's a big dude. Very big dude. And that's okay. If you know how to coach, you know how to coach. And he knows how to coach, that's for damn sure. But then 2025 came and gone. He didn't get a call offer. The Steelers. Now we're going to kind of shift to the Steelers' perspective here. The Pittsburgh Steelers here. They had a solid year. They finally got Aaron Rodgers to come in after months and months of holding out. Not necessarily from him, but just him. That was a big thing. You know about it. But, eventually the season got started. They started off really hot. Then they had a little skid, right? Where they had Buffalo. They lost that. Bengals were in that mix a little bit, like the Thursday night football game. They just had some weird losses. Some very weird losses. The run defense was awful. We didn't even have a receiver, too. Yet they kept on pushing that Pittsburgh Steelers team. They had so much hurt, they kept on pushing. All the way to the playoffs, where they made it. And they were right in that game all the way to the very end. But they eventually lost to the Houston Texans. And then the next day, out of absolutely nowhere, Mike Tomlin shocks the NFL world and announced that he's stepping down from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, me personally, I never thought Mike Tomlin was a great coach. He is the best leader of men in the NFL history, in my opinion. But as a coach, with the X's and O's, that was not his specialty. And then with his defensive coordinator being Terrell Austin, his offensive coordinator being Arthur Smith, two evidently below-average coordinators, there's just no real way to succeed. So I found this as a blessing in disguise for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm stepping down. And, then the search was on for the next head coach. During my, I made a couple videos on this channel, just a couple short-form videos. My main targets, my big three, there's really three guys I was really considering. It was Chris Shula, Brian Flores, and Big Mike McCarthy. I remember I made a video, it might have been a day before, maybe 2 days before. I had Mike McCarthy as my number one option. And overall, I think that was for a multitude of reasons. But in my eyes, the main reason is we needed offense. The defense is set. We got D.C. Patrick Graham now. Granted, we didn't have him the time, so we're actually going to throw that argument out the window. But we needed offense, and we needed Aaron Rodgers back. Him and Aaron Rodgers, sure, they had to follow in Green Bay, but they made up in recent years, and now they're back together right now. But also, Mike McCarthy, in Dallas, straight up, 3 out of his 5 years, he had a top 5 offense. If he can even be top 10 here in Pittsburgh, and then D.C. Patrick Graham, who he brought in, can have a top 5, which certainly should happen, with the defense being paid second most, Patrick Graham being, in my opinion, the most creative and arguably one of the greatest defensive coordinators of our generation as well. And it should really be easy for this team to go at minimum of 11, 6, 12, and 5. Bringing all those pieces together. And plus, they brought in guys like Michael Pittman Jr., Jeremy Bernard, Darnell Washington's back and meaner than ever. They're going to use Pat Fryermuth this year. They got Rico Dowdle. There's just so many hard, smash-mouth weapons on this team that can really, really, really just propel them over the mountaintops. Last year, Aaron Rodgers had to carry this team on his back, and you may think that, you may not, but he had to do all the dirty work, He had to give it to Kenneth Gainwell. He had to give it to Jalen Warren. He had to get it out fast, because he had to help around guys like Michael offensive line to do him any favors. Brada Jones, Dylan Cook. The offense has so much potential this year. They're just going to run the ball. But then they'll pass. Those guys get 10 yards, but overall, 10 yards. You just can't first down. First down. Then when your number 2 wide receiver is Marquez Valdez-Scantling, what do you expect? But certainly we shouldn't be expecting that much, because then you're going to have a whole lot of failure. Jamel Dean. It's truly great work by Omar Khan this offseason. But Mike McCarthy, man, the Yinzer, man, you got to feel great for him. What a guy, truly. His whole life, he quit all other coaching pursuits just to lock in on this one. And he got the job, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so happy that he got it. And overall, I'm expecting a lot of big things here, You can have your opinions on this, but overall, he's an offensive mastermind. Everywhere he's been, he's proved that. He's had great seasons everywhere, especially with good old Aaron Rodgers, his starting quarterback right now. So, I mean, if you don't think this team is going to be the AFC North champions, you got a whole lot of... I don't even know what you're talking about, frankly, mate. They just got so much potential. I mean, not even potential. They got so much results that have already been proven. For instance here, Jalen Ramsey, great year last year. Safety didn't do great at the slot, but safety. He could be a big nickel in Patrick Graham's defense. TJ Watt, he had a bad year last year. I'm sure he's going to bounce back. Guys like Jalen Warren, he did great last year. He'll do even better this year with Max Kehonadjor now on the offensive line. You know what I'm trying to say, folks? I'm trying to say that Mike McCarthy has gotten the Pittsburgh Steelers back. The Steel Curtain is coming back. The Killer Bee era. Oh boy, those guys are coming back too. The Pittsburgh Steelers are back, and you're going to like it. You're going to like it a whole lot if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Now, if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, you're going to be scared. Real scared. Every single week, you're going to be like, uh-oh, week 18, we got to play the Steelers. That's going to be bad for us. That's going to be bad news for us. But for the Pittsburgh Steelers, folks, they're going to have a real fun season this year. And I think they can make the Super Bowl. And heck, I can think they even win it if Mr. Patrick Graham can have one heck of a year calling the defensive plays here. But Mike McCarthy, as for him, I can guarantee you he will have one heck of a year. He will actually have this offense the top 10 in every single metric. Every single one. Rodgers will be top 10. Jalen Warren top 10. DK Metcalf top 10. Everyone will be top 10. Everybody. This whole team will be top 10. It'll be top 5. It'll be top 1, frankly, at the end of the season. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go back to the tough-nosed, rough steel curtain football of the 1970s and hoist that Lombardi trophy. If you agree with me, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you guys for sticking to the end of this video. And here we go, Steelers. Here we go.